Do I want Robert Willett or do I want Ann Kelly? Do I want Robert Willett or do I want Ann Kelly? I'll tell you what I want. I want the district attorney who actually believes in fairness. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. All for one and one for all. Can you imagine if Colorado's rules of evidence were actually used? I want a DA who believes in fairness and who uses the rules of evidence the way that it's supposed to be used. The rules of evidence, CRE 102 says this. These rules shall be construed to A, to secure fairness in administration. 2, elimination of unjustifiable expense and delay. 3, promotion of growth and development of the law of evidence to the end that the truth may be ascertained. And 4, proceedings justly determined. And 4, proceedings justly determined. So why do we have rules of evidence? Well, we need to have fairness in administration. You can't just say, okay, you could have pictures and photos, but I'm not going to take your pictures and photos. Elimination of unjustifiable expense and delay. Let's do it for efficiency, right? We need efficiency. Everybody's on the same page. These are the rules of evidence. Promotion of growth and development of the law of evidence to the end that the truth may be ascertained. We're trying to get to the goddamn truth, okay? We want to get to the fucking truth, and what are the damn rules of evidence so that way that there's fairness in administration. We don't have all this, crazy expensive delays, and we want the proceedings to be justly determined. Those are the 4 things, the 4 purposes, the 4 reasons why we have Colorado's rules of evidence. 1, to secure fairness in administration. Eliminate unjustifiable expense and delay. 3, promote growth and development of the law of evidence to the end that the truth may be ascertained. And 4, proceedings justly determined. We want the damn proceeding to be justly determined. We want justice. We want the truth. Why? Because at the end of the day, we want peace. Who is forthcoming with information, especially about her office priority of major crimes to pursue, as well as a simplified 12-step or 7-step criminal procedure. Plus, the DA that I want has business cards with all 30 or so victims' rights printed right there on them. Maybe have Miranda's rights printed on the back, on the bottom. But let's get a common law out of this DA. What are your top, 10 crimes? What are your top 13 crimes? What are your... And then the 7-step criminal. And then let's get a culture where everybody is like excited to go to a jury trial. Everybody is excited. You're a part of the grand jury. Wow, man, that's freaking awesome. You're a part of our republic. You're actually going to participate in power. You think it's going to be an exciting case? You think it'll be a homicide case? What kind of case do you think it's going to be? So you're going to be a juror on a regular jury or the grand jury? A regular jury, okay, so it's just going to be one side, then the other side, and then they're going to ask you to... So, man, that's exciting. And you'll get a couple bucks. So if you have other things to do, yeah, it might be... I would love to be a juror on a jury trial. I would be happy to be a juror on the grand jury. If you're a juror on the grand jury, that is so much fucking power. If you're a juror on the grand jury, you're almost as powerful as a cop. You actually might be more powerful than a cop because you have citizen's arrest too. But the grand jury, the whole thing is for them to go after the felons, to find where the felonies are, and then they hand down indictments. And you're not even allowed to charge a person with a felony unless they have a grand jury indictment. So by empowering the grand juries to go after the felonies, when they put down an indictment, well, there's not going to be any question about whether or not there was enough evidence to charge them with a felony. You can't just have some asshole cop that just says, you did a felony, and then it just gets rubber stamped a million times. If you had the grand jury, though, which is, 12 people, 15, I forget exactly how many. It used to be 23, and I think they scaled it back to 15 or something. But if you got 23 people looking at a situation and they said, yes, there is probable cause that a felony may have occurred, then that goes to the actual trial. So all that does is it starts the actual trial. So it both starts it, but it also stops the frivolous ones, right? No, that isn't a felony. Get the hell out of here. That's not a felony at all. So a grand jury is both good and bad, to weed out the frivolous and to go after the actual serious things. So I want to talk about Saguache County Sheriff Dan Warwick. Saguache County Sheriff Dan Warwick said, "I used to say that I've seen it all." He told Dateline NBC in a broadcast airing Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Central Time. "I don't say that anymore." Saguache County Sheriff Dan Warwick. Who is this Dan Warwick? Mummified body of the Love Has Won cult found covered in Christmas lights. 7 followers arrested. 7 of Carlson's followers were arrested, 3 on charges of abuse of a corpse, 4 on charges of tampering with a deceased human body. Authorities allege that Carlson, 45, had died in California and then was transported to the sex headquarters in Moffett, Colorado. 45-year-old Carlson. Is this a man or a woman? I'm not for sure. Reports to Denver Post. Because 2 children were inside the home at the time of the April 28th discovery, all 7 adults were also charged with misdemeanor child abuse. But Saguache County District Attorney Alonzo Payne later dropped all the charges, according to the Denver Gazette. "You think these people should have faced charges for abuse of a corpse?" Dateline correspondent Keith Morrison asked the sheriff after Payne's decision. "I do," says Warwick. They should have faced charges for abuse of a corpse. Did they abuse the corpse, or did they care about what was going on? I mean, it was weird. You got this cult that's kind of holding on to this corpse for too long. People mourn in different ways. My marijuana plant, it's winter, right? So winter hit, and it's my marijuana plant died. And I want to eventually bury it because I liked it. And I've been hesitant to just throwing it in the ground because it's almost like you failed and now you're just trying to, bury it, right? You're just trying to. And then also it's got, like little buds or whatever. And I'm thinking, do I really want to. I'm not for sure how I feel about the whole thing. I'm sad that it's dead and it didn't get to bloom as full as it could have bloomed. My point is that people mourn in different ways. Eventually, I'm going to bury it, but for right now, it's pretty, and I like having it around. And I know it's dead, and it's just an empty stalk. But it kind of reminds me of how important life is, and how quick we're just here and then we go, and how we're all just kind of dust in the wind. So, is it weird to mourn? Do you want to hold on to the body? I remember this one book where in the very beginning, Anne Rice, she was talking about how they just held on to the dead body for way too long. Goodness gracious. Carlson's mother, Linda Haythorne, also objected to the prosecutor's decision. She tells the show it seems like they're kind of brushing it under the rug. She says, "That's the way I feel anyways." Arkansas woman arrested for living with mother's mummified body found wrapped in newspaper and bedding. The prosecutor defended his decision. "Our office looked at all the documents and everything that was provided," said Alonzo Payne, "and from our perspective, the allegations cannot be met beyond a reasonable doubt." So abuse of a corpse, they might have just set the corpse in the living room and just let it, so they didn't abuse it. From our perspective, the allegations cannot be met beyond a reasonable doubt. An arrest affidavit previously obtained by people. Local law enforcement said they were tipped off to the corpse by Miguel Lamboy, who they believed was a member of the sect about which the sheriff's department said they had received many complaints from families within the United States saying that the group is brainwashing people and stealing their money.